a friend of mine who I just kind of met. Her name is Ailin Liliana Ruiz Sanchez. She, her, hers. Artistic director and co-founder of Lormiga Titieres, Sonora, Mexico. She's the co-founder of Lormiga Titieres, a puppet company based in the North Desert of Sonora in Mexico. That's next to Arizona. Lormiga Titieres is focused on creating children and family, and not only performing but also creating projects in the field of STEAM, gender equality. Okay. The company has created productions for the State Education Department, the National Council of Science and Technology in Mexico, Child Fund, Naturala Foundation, and some more. They have taken workshops around the globe with Judith Hope, Myra Sue, Tom Lee, Little Angel Theater, Sarah Nolan, Pam Severance. We like Pam Severance. She was a previous episode. Edwin Salas, Carlos Converso, Sandra Monini, Apex, Uruguay in related topics to production, construction, and puppetry direction, techniques in the different types of techniques. In their main scholarship are the first mentorship program in the LA Guild of Puppetry in Los Angeles, California, mentored by Pam Severance. UNESCO's Be Your Voice program from Teatro de Ayer, I think that's what it's pronounced, theater company in the creation of virtual reality scenarios for that stage. The state's National Fund in Arts and Puppetry residency at, I can't pronounce that word. What's that word? You can jump in now.
Hi.
I don't know. I can't say that word.
Let me check.
Merequen.
It's it. Merequetengue, is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a.
Yeah. I need to brush up on my pronunciation of these things.
Right.
And many more things. There's a lot of things in this bio that we're gonna talk about.
And so.
Yeah. It's a lot. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with you and be speaking with your audience as well.
Mm-hmm. You like my beach? This is my beach. It's my virtual.
I really like it. Is it hot? Really hot in there?
It is. It's kind of hot.
I can tell. Yeah. Well, I'm at home, so you can see.
Yeah. I'm at home too. But there's a mess behind me. I like the beach.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. I saw that you did the mentorship program with the LA Guild. Was that in 2020?
It was in 2020. It was on summer of 2020. I got paired with.
It wasn't Puppetzilla.
Yeah, it was Puppetzilla. We worked together, and we're in the same generation, sort of. Same class.
So. I think we were in the same. Yeah. Well, I had Liz Hara for that one. Yeah.
I was paired with Pam Severance.
Yeah, Pam. I love Pam. That was the greatest.
It's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is. So, what we do on Unima Talks is we talk puppets. I ask some questions, you answer some questions, and then we just basically talk about your journey, things that you like about puppets, things that you may not like about puppets, things that you want to do, things that you're working on, everything. So I start the evening off with the question that I like to ask everyone. Why puppets?
Why puppets? Well, I was 16. I was 16 and it was the first time I saw a puppetry show here in my hometown, Hermosillo, Sonora. And I fell in love. It was love at first sight. And since I saw it, I said to myself that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So that's kind of stick with me through since I was 16 years old. So, and I started, studying and getting involved with puppetry. Like here in Mexico, most of the theater productions and all of the things that I've been doing in theater, they do it in the south part of Mexico. We live on the north part. I live in the north part, so it was kind of like difficult to to get involved with the theater scenario in my whole country. But I guess we have already 12 years doing this, so it's been quite of a journey.
Okay, so you're in Mexico, am I right?
Yes, I'm Mexican.
Okay.
Yes, I am in the north part, which is like it's really on the north part of Mexico. It's besides Arizona, United States, and kind of like located there. So.
Okay, all right. Okay, I have a friend who did my visual puppet slam last year. Her name is Abby Roman. She goes by Yeba Namor. I think she's from Mexico. Yeah, she is from Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another puppeteer, and I'm not sure where she's situated in Mexico, but she participated in my slam last year. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've crossed paths before in other like workshops and stuff. I think.
We have.
Yeah, just like myself, I see you a lot out there. Even in forums and stuff, I see you answering questions just like myself. We get out there. So let me ask, is puppetry a big thing in Mexican culture? Is it like a deep-seated thing?
Well, there's a lot of puppet companies here in Mexico. I mean, not only in my state, it's just only two of us, but in the rest of Mexico, there's a lot of puppetry companies, and they have this own story and history. Because it started back on the 19-something, like 1910 or so. I mean, might be wrong with the dates. You can just Google it. Started with the Rosetta and the brothers, which they started with these marionettes and started working with those and with shows and like this big like circus spaces. And I'm pretty sure there is a story about puppetry here in Mexico, right? So, and it all started in Tlaxcala, in Huamantla, Tlaxcala, which is the National Museum of Puppetry here in Mexico. So they has a specific importance in this, theater, we'll call it this theater movement, what we call it.
Okay. So is there a specific style that resonates like Mexican puppetry? Is it like,
Well, I don't know if it could be like a technique or so, because like they have used different type of techniques. Rosetta and the brothers, they use marionettes, so they were just using them as in the technique itself. But with our master Carlos Converso, which is one of our main, not Mexican, he's not Mexican, he's from Argentina, but he moved to Mexico, so he started, showing us other type of techniques. Which most of I can say most of our companies might probably have a tabletop puppetry. They use tabletop puppetry, but they use shadow. We have used marionettes. They have paper puppet toy theater, and basically that. But you can make a difference between Rosetta and Brothers' history with the marionettes and when then Carlos Converso came up to Mexico and showed us tabletop puppetry. So. Most of the groups may have a tabletop, show sort of, or at least they have a course with Carlos Converso. That's for sure.
Okay. Why I'm interested is that I try to link things to my culture and puppetry and what could be seen as puppets in Trinidadian culture, and that's why I'm curious into finding out if there's if there's a traditional story that's always told using a certain style of puppet, or if that's something that's culturally embedded in Mexican culture, that's.
They work specifically marionettes. They have their own stories, sort of. They have the stories of the I don't call it the mariachi. They were like specific shows, specific short scenarios, short stories. I know there's a traditional puppet. I know there's one of them which is really recognized because it's one of the first ones. But there's like to specifically say this story is Mexican and has been portrayed in different, countries because it's Mexican. I don't think they have. I mean, maybe characters, just kind of characters. I think it's Don Ferruco, which is one of the puppets. I'm gonna send you some pictures of him.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll add them in here. So let me get to something that's relating to this then. So when you started off, what style of puppetry were you introduced to first? So like when you had that aha moment as a teen.
It was a tabletop show, a tabletop puppetry show, and it was made by one of the puppetry companies here in Hermosillo, here in Sonora, which was the only one. And I just got closer to them and I started asking them about, puppetry and stuff. Because back in the time I was 16, there was no internet. There was internet, but it wasn't like that, that
accessible.
Open nowadays. Accessible like nowadays. So it was more over to, ask the ones who know. So that was tabletop puppetry, my first show to see.
And your first medium, like the first type of puppet that you picked up, that you started working with, tabletop as well. Yeah, tabletop as well. But through my career, I've been using tabletop. I've used marionettes. I've used shadow puppetry. I've used toy paper, toy theater. I have used cranky myself. So I have not still stand with one of the techniques as for all my shows. I mean, I have been studying different ones. It's because each one of the techniques gives you different ways to solve things. So it's very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about how you came to put together your group, which is La Hormiga Titieres Sonora.
That's exactly, La Hormiga Titieres.
Yeah.
Well, I was 16, like I said. I wanted to do this the rest of my life. So I started to make first attempts to do a company, a puppet company. I kind of had 2 attempts with failures. And then I met the co-founder, Sarina, which is the co-founder of a company. And we both went along and we decided to jump in and do our own company together. And that happened in 2011. So that's what we get here. So
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, some time ago. It's 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's
been 12 years ago, and it's been quite a ride. Because like I said, I'm not from the south part of Mexico, which all the happening of theater happens. So it's kind of really hard for the north part of us just to be recognized as in puppetry. But it has to be.
It's a work in progress.
It is.
I understand and feel your sentiments exactly. With us in Trinidad, there's actually no puppet, nothing happening puppetry. I'm kind of trying to start that happening here. It's an uphill battle. I'm from the south of Trinidad. Trinidad isn't that big, but I'm from the south of Trinidad, and a lot of the theater that actually does happens in the north of Trinidad. And it's that community of artists and stuff reside there, so it's really hard to break into that. But I think if we continue that work, it goes well. Hopefully it goes well. Yeah.
Hard work always pays good, so it does.
So you have a lot of projects under your belt here. Like I see projects in the field of STEAM and gender equality and stuff. Tell me, I read STEAM, but I don't know. I'm not really familiar with what that is.
Is it science, technology, education, and art? I think
I should know that.
Engineering and art. Engineering now.
Okay.
Engineering and art. It's a term. It's a term that is used specifically on I think in the science technology environment, which includes art itself, as in a tool to show, to learn, to teach science and other techniques and engineering and stuff. So, and puppetry has helped a lot. We have a series called it's called, I'm trying to translate it. It's called Home Experiments, and it's made out of 2 puppets, it's on YouTube. You can see it on Hormiga here on YouTube. and actually teach kids how to do specific scientific experiments that includes some of their topics in their school. So they kind of have this video, educational videos where they help them to understand some of their topics in school. So we did kind of that.
Okay. So that linking your puppetry to that project, was it something that they sought out, like, hey, Ailin, we want to do this, we want to use puppets, and we think your puppets are the way to go?
It was part of the Ministry of Science in Mexico, like the government science of department. And there was a call for participation for projects specifically. It includes topics that will help students from basic education to learn a little bit more into science and engineering and technology. So out of that specific call, we participated, and we presented the project, Home Experiments, with Jazz and Alex, which is the two characters. And we ended up winning the projects, and we ended up doing the videos, which are they're like 3 experiments. No, there are 4 experiments, a book, it's a booklet for you to work with the experiments, and 15 scientific words for you to learn. So there is on YouTube, actually.
I'll look at it. I will check it out. I'll check it out. I'll put some pictures in here so people can see what we're talking about. Yeah.
It'll be awesome. I actually use sign language, specific Mexican sign language as well. So it was a very cool project. We did that in 2020. Cool. Yeah, we did that in 2020, and we did TV puppets specifically. So it was the first time using those, and I think we liked it a lot.
TV puppets meaning like Muppet style puppets? Broad style puppets. Okay.
Yeah, we call it here in Mexico like TV puppets.
It's TV puppets.
We call it puppets, like the word puppets, like in English. Not referring to the puppets itself. Just that specifically. Yeah. So
Sounds good. So I have random questions that I like to ask in between. Just like why puppets. So tell me, what has been your most inspiring moment as a puppeteer? Like that moment that you felt like, hey, this is going places I needed to go. This is the moment, that moment.
I think I could recall some different memories that I have that I kind of like put myself aside and kind of look around and I said, yes, I'm making it. I'm doing what I think I should be doing. My first one will be, we were doing this show. We were doing this playbill in this auditorium. So we kind of presented to the public each month. We presented a new show, right? So we were going to be presenting this show, and we invited some puppetry people. So we invited the ones who were the puppetry company in 1990s from here, from Sonora, like the ones who I saw before when I was 16. I invited them for us to see the show. I mean, they're close friends. So I told them, yeah, you know what, come over and watch the show and whatever. So they show up with something in their hands, and I call them to come in front just to say hi to the public and whatever. And they give me the honor to give me as a gift the puppet that I saw 16 when I was 16 years old, the puppet that I fall in love with puppetry, and they give it to me as a sign of passing the torch, sort of. So it was quite of a really, really touching memory. It was really cool. That was one. And I will go the second one when we started to travel. When we started to travel out of Sonora. And that was amazing, because there's people that recognize our work, that recognize our shows, that recognize the effort we're doing up here, and they started inviting us to the south part of Mexico. So it was quite, it was quite regarding that we were invited, not only in Sonora, but we're traveling around, and then I travel on the international, going to Europe. Going to different countries, to Colombia itself, it's been
Mhm.
I said, yeah, it's the right path.
Been good.
Yeah.
It's been good. So tell me, is puppets your main gig? That's what you do? Puppets is what you do for a living?
Yeah, that's what I do for a living.
Wow.
That's the only thing we do.
Okay.
Um,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, people say that it's hard to live from art itself,
Hmm.
but I guess it's about to get serious. I guess get
Hmm.
serious and take
Hmm.
it serious, your profession,
Hmm.
and work and work and do stuff.
Hmm.
Because it's about being recognized. Because if you don't get recognized, the people they don't see your work, and they
Hmm.
don't see the things you're doing.
Hmm.
On my state and in Mexico. So, yep, I think.
So from what I'm understanding is that, there's a big culture of puppetry in Mexico. And that
Oh, there is, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's what fuels you to be able to create, share with a community, and then now the wider community, that's the world. That
Yeah,
yeah,
it's everything is connected, I guess,
yeah.
I do puppetry here in Sonora, in my state, north
Hmm.
part of Mexico.
Hmm.
We are only two puppetry companies here,
Okay.
but there are places like in Tlaxcala where everything
Hmm.
started.
Hmm.
Like they're like 69 or so,
Wow.
companies. I mean, a lot of companies, and there's a lot of companies here in Mexico. So sharing our work and get related with other companies that are doing
Hmm.
their own job in their own states, it gets it started making this networking between them, so
Hmm.
it makes puppetry rise and be better.
Right, right. And that's the thing, with puppetry and any art form and community. I think that's a big thing. I recently was reading, it's a book from that I was gifted on our last trip. It's Into the Shadows, I think, is the name of that book. Um,
Mhm.
and it was about bringing puppet slam culture or puppetry theater to New York, and I would never think that it's something that would be alien to the States, but it was. And from what I'm reading, it was a lot of Mexican, South American, and European puppeteers that came forward and like kind of helped bring that to life. Um, and you can see where cultures who appreciate puppetry as an art form can help the rest of the world in that. For me, again, I'm a standalone guy here. There are little puppet things happening in churches and stuff, but nothing like marionettes or nothing like tabletop puppets or those kind of things. Everything is
Okay.
always seen as like TV puppets. That's what people think puppetry is here. So,
Okay. Okay.
that's why I was really happy to have you on my show, so that we could talk about things, and see that there's more out there. And
I,
there's
I I can feel related because here in Sonora, we're just like two of us, most of
Mhm.
the time, or
Mhm.
back on the time, it was only us because the other puppeteerian, it's our former friend from the
Mhm. Mhm.
company that was in the 1990s
Yeah.
here in Mexico,
Mhm.
so here in Sonora. So he sometimes do some shows, sometimes he doesn't,
Mhm.
he's not regularly doing the trip.
Mhm.
But sometimes we feel alone. We were the only group. I guess one of the things that help us a lot here in Sonora to get recognized, like people to start going to our shows and stuff, is
Mhm.
it's doing shows in schools, like doing getting
Yeah.
puppetry getting to schools, like
Mhm.
with sort of topics, certain topics for
Mhm.
schools in order to start seeing them. The next thing we did here in Sonora was making that playbill, making these current shows month by month, so
Mhm.
people have the chance to pay their own ticket and go to the shows. So that helped us a lot for them to start recognizing and kind of like seeing like there's puppetry here, there's a group here in puppetry, and then
Mhm.
we started to do some other like some other things like going to festivals here, like participating in other festivals and getting involved in the community itself,
Mhm.
trying to ask them what they need. And so out of our topics or shows we were performing. So that's where it started. When we started here, we didn't have any audience. for sure. We didn't have a community, but we created one, and that's
Yeah.
a company should have their own community because that's where they support them. So that helped us a lot here in Sonora.
Yeah. That sounds like it sounds like where where it should always, or the way it should always go, actually. Hopefully, it goes that way for me. So looking at I looked at your resume. There's a whole lot going on there, but your career spans a pretty long time. We were talking about you established your company in 2011. You said we're 2023, but I'm guessing time before that, when you were 16, from 16 to then, you were probably pretty busy too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you did some work for your education ministry and stuff. Tell me about it. Tell me how what type of work that was.
How was it? I think when I kind of I had a disadvantage that I was 16 and I kind of like recognized what I wanted to do. I mean, that's like kind of like something that doesn't happen like occasionally, or maybe doesn't happen. I was the fortunate one to know, a lucky one to know that I was going to do this for the rest of my life. So I had the chance to think what was going to be my next steps. That's what's one of the things. I'm more like a visionary person. So I kind of like think in the future, which steps should I take in order to do this or that, to be in this festival, to, be recognized in this or that, to win this or have that. So I guess one of the things that really, really catch my attention is that there wasn't any puppetry school in Mexico, sort of. I remember asking my friends, they were from the company, asking, we were really close friends, asking him, where should I go to study puppetry, here in Mexico? So he told me about Carlos Converso. He was in Veracruz, which is really on the south part of the Gulf of Mexico. And that same summer, I traveled to Veracruz to start my education in puppetry, so I started, to start going on into courses. It was hard because I was like, have to travel from Sonora to Veracruz, which is really, really long distances. And you have to go over on a plane, on a flight. So it was kind of hard. And back at the time, there wasn't any online courses. I mean, internet was there, but it was in the first stages. It wasn't like handy like it's nowadays. So, and we have always have the mind overthinking. We have to always keep on knowing new stuff on puppetry, getting involved in courses, getting to know new techniques, getting to know going to other festivals, kind of like getting involved in the community itself. So that helped us a lot in between. So I think it's about, I had the chance to see what we wanted to do in order to start taking the first step. So that helped a lot.
Okay. So, I'm thinking. Right. So tell me, what has been your most challenging project with puppetry?
Challenging. I remember one of my shows. I remember that we were on an open door show, and there was this there's a lot of insects. There was a lot of these big insects jumping in. It was horrible. I remember that we started the show and we turned on the lights, and these insects kind of jumping in between puppets and all everything in between. And we kind of finished the show, but we had all of insects around, and we couldn't like talk. If we opened our mouth, one of our insects would come inside your mouth. It was hard. It was a hard show, but it was on my beginnings. Like, it was really hard, and it was on my beginnings. It was like I probably was, I don't know, 20, 21 years old, sort of, when I started puppetry, doing it. And that was one of the hard and challenging, moreover, my career, more as in a professional one. I don't know. I think one of the most challenging things is to always overcome yourself, sort of. Like, you do a show, you love it a lot, but then you have to think what's going to come next, So one of the challenging things is to, have creativity, being honest with yourself and creating in order to the audience to like it, in order to the audience to feel it. So I think the most challenging is to be creative in this career, being creative and do and start doing after 12 years, keep on, doing it. It's hard. Creativity is quite of a thing.
Yeah, I can understand. So
You can relate.
you write your own stuff, you build your own puppets.
We do our own puppets. We write our own shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lucky person because my co-founder, it's my right hand, and I'm her right hand as well. So one of the things, I don't know, if I'm stuck with something, she will jump in and fix it, whatever. So we're really a good team. We're a really, really good team. So it's really easy for us to work together. Yeah, it's really easy to work.
It's easy, and that's the thing about having collaborative minds together. So your process when you're thinking about coming up with a new act is you basically have a writer's room that you sit down and with your collaborators and you come up with a new story.
We both have different ways of each one has our own process.
Yeah.
For example, our last show was one of our first ages show, which was for kids from 0 to 5 years old, and we wanted to do a show for that specific age. We didn't have our topic, we didn't have anything else developed, and we wanted it to someone to direct us, and we started working on it. And we finished working it. For example, Sarina has one of the ways of doing her own creativity process is, for example, in Amelia and the Undesperate Travel. It's called one of her shows. It talks about a Mexican story, and it's a real fact story about kids that migrate from Spain in the Civil War of Spain to Mexico to get saved out of the war. And we started talking about migration with kids, specifically in that story. And she picked that story for us to work with. She read a lot about this specific topic, about this specific passage of history in Mexico. And we wanted to start thinking about how are we going to present the story to our audience. And we decided to start our show with one of her questions. If you have to leave your country, what things would you put in your backpack, And with that question, we started, working with it. Sometimes we don't have a text, we don't have a dialogues. Sometimes we start working in between, and then we start, selecting things that works for us. And yeah, that's basically how we do it.
Interesting.
Sometimes we have a text. That we follow. Sometimes I did Mati Doesn't Like Water, which one I directed. I'm going to show you some of them. I asked someone to write the story, but I adapted puppets, but the story was mine. I told the author, okay, I want this and that and the story to happen, write it out, and I adapted for puppetry. So basically that's how we work.
Okay. Sounds like a good creative process.
Work for us.
Yeah.
It worked for us.
Yeah, it works. And I mean, and that's important. Is that the things that you are working on, it works for you. And
there's like, I don't know, there's La Hormiga Titres before lockdown and COVID, and La Hormiga Titres afterwards, For us, COVID was a chance to do full-time at home everything that we wanted to do. And we started to start doing some experiments that we wanted to do, specifically in toy theater, in paper puppet theater. So we came up with these pieces in video, like puppetry video pieces in paper puppetry technique, and that's what give us, I guess, one of the chances to get involved, to talk to other people from other countries. And we had the chance to take other courses. We had the chance to see other things that we couldn't see or learn for, I don't know, a long time ago. So, there's a big difference between what we did on 2019 before and afterwards. I mean, you can see even though in the CV, you can see it, how this, helped us a lot. It was hard times for sure. It was hard time for everyone, but yet it helped us a lot to get what we get and where we are right now.
I think while the pandemic was really something so difficult for the entire world, but I think the puppetry community found we found each other, and that support came from just us connecting. Um, I only started basically getting into puppetry seriously during the pandemic because
Mhm.
I went to a show. I had that moment that I always wanted to get into puppetry as a kid, but never had the opportunity or never believed that it was something worth doing. But you have that moment when you go and you see something that's real in front of you. I saw a show called Pop It Up on the Jim Henson lot, and it was a moment, that moment for me. And then the pandemic happened, and we were stuck inside, and I discovered the LA Guild, and then the O'Neill, and then
Yeah.
took every online class that I could.
I did the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. I took advantage. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
course through
Mm-hmm.
courses, next to courses
Yep.
and stuff, because I got the chance to sit down and do it because we couldn't do anything else. Like we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go outside
Mm-hmm.
and do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I like you said something very important. Like they bring us together. Like the
Mm-hmm.
community brings us together, and each country has their own puzzle. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
call it. It has their own
Mm-hmm.
puzzle. And for me, finding the LA Guild of Puppetry as well, getting to
Mm-hmm.
know my peers around, then
Mm-hmm.
having the puppet slam over. I
Yeah.
mean, it was kind of a dream that I
Yeah.
didn't dream about, but it was happening at the same time. I was doing it. So it is something that it really marks. I mean,
Yeah.
life, everyone's lives, but I guess for us, and I guess for you too, it was a good time for us to
It
learn
was.
a lot of stuff, to
Mm-hmm.
share things, to get
Mm-hmm.
involved, to talk to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did the first online festival, by the way,
Really?
ever in whole worldwide. We did the
Really?
first ever online festival.
Oh, that's
We did it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we
That's
did.
that's interesting. And that was in 2020 or
August
20.
2020. We started on
Wow.
the 17th, sort of March.
Yeah.
Was our
Yeah,
first
well then that would
ever.
be first. That would be first, and the O'Neill would have been second then. Because they did this in June
Yeah, it's
last
in
year.
June.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
doing courses in some festival. I
Yeah.
was first. I remember we were 7,000 followers on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
We posted our festival, like all
Mm-hmm.
shows were coming up
Mm-hmm.
online. And next day we were 10,000. And then next day we were like 11,000. And the next day
Yeah.
12. And then
Mm-hmm.
we ended up with 24,000 followers on Facebook that that same week. And we ended up like 30,000 followers right now.
That's amazing.
We were the first ones. I
Yeah.
guess I remember I was doing a barbecue at home, like
Mm-hmm.
thinking, I mean, this is going to disaster. I said, to myself when it was in COVID, what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm going to do a barbecue here at my
Mm-hmm.
home, my
Mm-hmm.
backyard. And then just I snapped the idea up to myself and I said, we have to do a festival. Everyone is home. We're doing it online. How are we going to do it? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Just like do it. And we gathered. Sarina came over, and then one of the guys come over, and we did the festival. It was just quite of a thing.
In record time, then I think you would have just put that together at home.
We put that together like in a day or in a
Wow.
day. It was in a day. We call everyone. We call our friends. I mean,
Uh-huh.
our puppetry friends.
Mm-hmm.
The company's like, send us something. Send us a video. We're gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna broadcast the videos. Just send us. We're gonna do a festival. And it came up one of the most successful festivals we did online.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you should see it.
I
It has
would
been.
like to see that.
There was news over Europe, Australia news.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we gathered some news.
I think that's what inspired the rest of the world to do online festivals. I
Maybe,
really think that may have been that inspiration, because from everyone
hopefully.
you heard like, what are we gonna do? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, Ezra Cal Production presents our very first Puppet Slam workshop. Ah, you're
Hi
back.
again.
Yeah.
So we were the first one. We
Mhm.
were the first one ever.
I love that.
And
I love that so much. I love that so much. And I
it was really, really a hard times because we didn't sleep like for a week. but we were really excited to see people like, joining our streams and saying hi to us. And then we were the first one, I think we were the first ones to launch or to share a coloring book for kids for free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our editorial house started.
Okay.
So our program from editorial house. So yeah, we did a lot of first times. Because we really think really fast.
Mm-hmm.
We did. Saw the opportunity.
And I think for a lot of people, puppets and saved us during the pandemic, like virtual shows saved us. It was something to do. For me, like you had at least 2 or 3 virtual shows happening every week that you could throw a bit into, like like we
And
did.
just get connected with people, and it was fun to get to know people. And then sometimes you get to a course and you at least knew like 7 of the people were there. We're the same ones. And it was kind of like bringing us together.
Yeah.
I mean, now has 3 years has happened already. Had passed.
3 years have passed. And
I miss online puppet slams myself. I really miss them. I think there was a lot of things to see and to learn from them. What about you?
And like right now, I'm planning a live puppet slam that basically has to be postponed because I haven't gotten the response that I want to from people who need to perform, and that's because people don't know about puppet slams in Trinidad. And I've done a lot to get people, aware of it, but it's still very,
It's hard.
it's very difficult. But I am sure, and I can tell you, I'm sure if I put that out as a virtual slam tomorrow, I will get everybody from everywhere clicking on that. I will have thousands of people just wanting to perform because just like you and me, puppet slams. Are there any puppet slams in Mexico?
We're the only ones. We're the first puppet slam Mexico
Puppet slam
from the Puppet Slam network. And it started online, and I think it should continue being online. Because I think it brings.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I think how it was born, and I guess I don't know. People are getting used to it, and it was, it should be. I don't know. They should consider online because online springs from other part of countries, other countries in other part of the world, bring them together. I guess
because I really would have liked to do Puppetzilla more, but Puppetzilla has gone back to being live. So it's not like they say yes they can have videos that they will show, but when you really think about it, it's not really as effective as a live act.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So like. Exactly. For me, I think, and for us, or the rest of like the Caribbean or South America, I think what's something that we should try to do is do a virtual puppet slam. I'm thinking about taking Puppets of Irie, which is my puppet slam, and just going that direction. Like this is what it is. I partnered up with a friend of mine called Taylor Bebot from LA. She's the president of the LA Guild now, and co-president. There are 3 presidents right now, and she brought this really amazing platform that's called Oye. That's unfortunately going to be canceled soon, but you could build a virtual theater. You could build a virtual world, and basically have a puppet slam, and you could have game rooms and all these things. And we did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we did that. It was an amazing space. It was a great show. We basically took that mold that was Puppetzilla, which was a mentorship, and then into a show, and that was great.
Yeah.
I just had enough to go with 4 puppeteers and 4 mentors, and they went through with it for that month, and they put together one of the most amazing shows. And I think, for us around, again, the South American continent and the Caribbean, I think there's a lot of puppeteers out there. And I think we could possibly do something like that live. I think I've been speaking to Unima because I'm the Unima representative for my country. And they've asked, is like, if there isn't, so much interest in Trinidad, why don't you try to do Unima Caribbean, And
Yeah.
if that's something you'd be interested in talking about, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a Unima guild in Mexico?
We do. We have Unima Mexico. We have another Unima, which is Unima Ciudad de Mexico, which is in the capital.
Mhm.
I'm not really acquainted with them.
Okay.
I've been. I think it doesn't work the way it should work. Like it works in other countries.
Mhm.
From my perspective, I
Mhm.
mean, some of Mexican followers are going to see this,
Mhm.
not in the bad way, but I'm really busy with other stuff. I guess one of the or their projects are not acquainted with mine. I guess, and I get
Mhm.
together. I've participated with them with
Mhm.
different shows and stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think it's a great chance to to get to meet people
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
do stuff
Mhm.
actually out of an international
Yeah.
out of international.
Yeah. And I mean, they Unima International, the international body, they've been very supportive of the things that I'm doing, and I think it all depends on who's running the boards in the countries. It gets a
For
little
sure.
political. It gets a little political, and I understand. Um,
And I guess everyone has their own projects, I guess.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
their own ideas and
yeah.
how they're going to spend the budget and stuff, out of
Mm-hmm,
their own
mm-hmm,
perspective, ideas, and projects. So their
mm-hmm,
visions, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, like you say, it depends on if it's
Yeah,
aligned with your own vision as well,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct, correct. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I love being part of all the guilds that I've tried to be part of, but at some point you can't be involved with everybody. You'd like to,
No, you
but
can't.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I,
exactly. And
I,
United
yeah.
States has this way of organizing themselves, like in
Mm-hmm.
this like Puppeteers of America, and they have
Yeah.
their own
Mm-hmm.
guilds and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
they get organized really well.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you can do you and me, we can do a guild in our country if you want,
Yeah.
and the
Mm-hmm.
people can out of Puppeteers of America. But
Mm-hmm.
what I really amazed me is that they're really organized,
They
and then
are.
like everyone works on the same boat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of a difficult, but they really organize, and I think that's something that I learned from them, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being organized and to have their own guilds and their activities and stuff, and have them to puppet slams around, and they help the guilds as well to be shown. It's quite good. We don't have that in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. No. So same here. We don't have anything here. We don't have anything here. Um, the thing about Puppeteers of America, and if you look at their history, they existed before. They had puppetry festivals that would happen at the Eugene O'Neill Theater, and it would happen every 2 years or every 3 years. But I think what gave them a lot of star power, what made people, I read, I'm talking about what I read in that book. Jim Henson, when he found fame with the Muppets, is what kind of helped American puppet theater. So,
Totally.
yeah. So when he joined Puppeteers of America, the next year he became the president. Then he founded the Unima Guild in the States. So, from there you see where, they had star power behind them, and that's when everybody started to kind of get involved.
Yeah,
And
I catch attention.
there were a lot of other puppeteers that worked in different mediums all the time, like Rufus and Margot Rose and Howdy Doody, sorry, and their marionette stuff, and all the other puppeteers that came before Shari Lewis. But it didn't happen until he did something, or he started standing in front of those guilds. And I think because of that vision and that organization, they were organized already, but just having that star power behind them, I think, is what made it, like, stick
Yeah,
together so well. And
I
they're
think they
really
were.
together. They're really together.
Yeah, and I think they well, he had the vision, I guess,
He did. He did.
he was really up into his time to do
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
when he
Mm-hmm.
had the position of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
with his name itself, right?
Yeah.
So I guess they were really lucky to have someone
Mm-hmm.
like that, and I guess he died really soon. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we could have like have an example of so many things, but I think he passed away really soon.
Mm-hmm.
But what he left from the years he
Yeah.
left us. He left us for the eternity. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
You know,
That legacy is
he's
gonna
alive
live.
still.
Yeah.
He'll live forever.
I tell people, it's really awesome to meet your heroes. It's always the most awesome thing to meet your heroes if you can. Unfortunately, my hero is no longer here, but because of the pandemic and because of his legacy, I think I say that I feel like I've met him. You know, because
Yes.
everybody that I've dealt with who's been on his team or who's worked with him, you know, they have that same generosity that he had, and they will share things with you, and they will be as open as you know they can with you about a lot of things, and that magic and that love and that generosity, I think, is something that you always find with the puppetry community. I think,
You always find that
yeah. Again, it was easy for
anywhere.
you and I were in a meeting together, and we started up with our own side conversation. Like, would you like to be on my magazine? And I was honored, you know. And then I said, why not do this with you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's easier. I don't know. We have this open,
Mhm.
way of, getting your puppeteer, you're my friend now.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes. Yeah.
We can share now,
Yeah, we could share. And I like the idea of finding people of different cultures who are puppeteers and showcasing that to everybody out there. A lot of people, you know, they give me the typical things like, hey, why don't you interview this person, or why don't you interview that person? I was like, well, have you seen how many interviews we have with these famous people already? We've heard those stories, you know, and not that I don't want to hear them again. I love hearing them 10 times, you know, but there's a new generation of puppeteers. And that's you,
Yes,
that's me, there's
yeah.
a lot of people out
We're
there.
next.
Yeah, we're next. We're the
next.
up
We
and
have to tell
coming.
our stories. We have to do our work.
We're the
our stuff.
pandemic puppeteers.
Yeah, we're the pandemic
We are.
ones.
Yeah.
Our class, pandemic class.
We're a pandemic class.
Yeah, it really opens.
So it really did open some doors for us. And I mean, like for me, when I did the O'Neill online that year, that was I learned basically shadow puppetry in a week. Well, not even a week, not even a week. It was like in 3 days, and I had
In 3 days.
in 3 days I had Bart Rockerburton Jr. He's an amazing tutor, an amazing guy when it comes to puppets. And you know, he was like, "Hey, this is how you do it." And you know, think of us on Zoom. We're just on Zoom like this, and he showed me how to build this thing and how to make joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
There was always open work
yeah,
groups around. There was a gymnastic group here in Latin America, actually.
a gymnastic group.
Yeah, you were doing exercises actually to endorse,
Okay.
your puppetry performances. I mean, it was specific training, for puppeterians. They meet on Tuesday, sort of like back in the time when it was pandemic. So there were like a lot of groups to show and share, what you knew, what you know. So it was kind of fun. It was pretty fun out of it.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
It was a fun thing. It was.
So tell me.
Sorry about it. It's just as my cat is around.
I saw that cat, and I was gonna ask.
He's never like this. He's never like jumping in for cuddling and stuff. I don't know why.
I want to see him. Introduce that cat to the world. Oh, what's his name?
His name is Goyo.
Goyo?
Goyo, yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh, it's a Mexican name, like Gregorio, like it's smaller for Goyo. So yeah. Okay. He's sometimes called him Gordo, which is fat.
He's so so cute.
He's a cute one.
He's a cute little one. Yeah.
So sorry about it. He was around.
That's okay.
We're at home.
We like pets. No, we like pets on our show. We like having pets on our show. We like having puppets on our show. Yeah.
It's friendly. Okay, cool. Yeah. You can come, honey.
We come anytime. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically like.
So tell me, presently, I'm sure you have something that you're working on. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, totally. We presented our last show, like our premiere on June. It was our first show for early ages. Was from 05. That was one of the shows we did. So right now we're in the process of participating with these specific shows in other calls for participations only for Mexico from around the world.
Mhm.
And we were doing that. On September 23rd, we're
Mhm.
leaving to touring. We're going to Colombia, we're going to Baja California, we're going to different parts here, but we're going to Colombia as well. And we are getting ready for that specific tour. We're
Mhm.
gonna be a month out of home, so
Mhm.
it's gonna be a fun tour. Touring is gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I'm guessing it's a live show that you do.
Yeah, we do. We have live shows
Mhm.
as well as we have online as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, we have a live show right now. We are performing with my
Mhm.
migration show that I was talking about
Mhm.
earlier today,
Mhm.
and we're performing that show this year. So right now we're
Okay.
working on using our shows for different call for participation for festivals and stuff right now, which is
Mhm.
the season of festivals right now.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
are doing that and getting prepared for next year, I guess.
Okay. So
To start working on
your
it.
shows when you're on tour, is it like one show or is it like different short format shows?
This tour, it's only one show, but we
Mhm.
have done for we have traveled with two shows in a row. But this time we're going to do one of the shows,
One
just
show.
that.
Mhm.
For all the festivals we're going to 4 festivals,
Mhm.
and we're happy, really happy to looking forward to that. And
Mhm.
we usually start doing new shows between January and June. That's when we start doing some
Mhm.
shows because of the time. Like I said, to right now it's in Latin America. I think I don't know if when we're big part of Latin America in Mexico as well.
Mhm.
It's call for participation season, so we have to
Okay.
be
Okay.
working with paperwork and sending
Mhm. Mhm.
deadlines and all that kind of stuff. So working
Yeah.
on that. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
fun.
I know about that call for participation paperwork all too well.
Yeah, it's all about the deadline.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
all about deadlines and getting everything.
So puppetry work or puppetry theater is usually in a type of a it's in more of a cabaret style in Mexico. It's like a puppetry theater, like a traveling thing.
Oh, well, not precisely a cabaret. We do family shows
Mhm.
actually.
Mhm.
Most of our company does family shows.
Mhm.
Some other do adult shows for
Mhm. Mhm.
adults.
Mhm.
But our show is they are cabaret shows in puppetry here in Mexico, but I think mainly there is like for family shows, I
Mhm.
guess.
Mhm.
So that's I think most of our other companies or peers
Mhm.
have family shows, more
I
of
think
them. So
I may have used the wrong word. Is it more like a traveling like a traveling variety act of puppeteers?
a variety,
Like is it like a
like if
puppet
it's
troupe that travels like in
oh
different
no, we
communities?
just well, specifically here in our company, we're 7 of us. But when
Mm-hmm,
we travel, we just travel Selena and I. Sometimes we travel with
mm-hmm,
a technician, that help us with our
mm-hmm,
technical
mm-hmm,
support. Um, Mainly, like at least 2 of us will go in touring, 3 at the latest. Because it's
mm-hmm,
expensive to go in
mm-hmm.
touring. So,
Okay.
is there any festivals in Trinidad? Is
Done.
there any festivals? You had to do your
Nothing.
first one.
I'm trying.
You have to do
I
your
have to find
first.
people who
You
are
should.
interested. I am trying
You
my
should.
hardest.
You
It
should. Or at
the
least get connected. Or get connected with, you're like between Venezuela, right? You're like
mm-hmm,
next to
mm-hmm.
Venezuela, sort of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like get connected with kind of like Colombia or so with some of the festivals, because probably you can, take some of their talent. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
Colombian, so you can travel to Trinidad. I mean, that's not that far, sort
It's
of.
not
I
that
mean,
far. I mean, I've
it's an
connected.
idea.
Yeah.
It's
No,
an idea.
I have thought about it. Unima has put that forward to me. Like, why don't you pair up with Unima Venezuela and get get something happening across here? But with all things, there needs to be funding.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, there needs to be funding.
That's there. You
Yeah,
need something.
because if I'm gonna have to do that, then that means first things first. I'm just the representative for Trinidad. I don't have a guild. We don't have budgets. So if I'm bringing puppeteers here, I need to have a place for them to stay. I need to have be able to feed
Everything.
these people. Yeah. So
Do you have like well, you should you have a Ministry of Culture there in your
we do
country?
have a Ministry of Culture.
But most of it goes with theater, like.
Not even theater. A lot of Ministry of Culture stuff is focused on our carnival arts here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
the lion's share of anything cultural in Trinidad. The
Mhm.
arts is not something that they take seriously here, or as serious
Okay.
as they should. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's a lot of work.
it's really and truly based and siphoned into, you know, carnival stuff and steel pan stuff and music that surrounds carnival and stuff, but very little goes to, you know, the contemporary arts, you know, which is, there's a big theater society in Trinidad. There's a lot of plays that happen and a lot of shows that happen, but nothing really that is truly puppets. Nothing puppets per
Not
se.
yet, I
Not yet.
guess.
Not
You
yet.
are working
I'm
on it.
I am
Yeah.
working on it. Yeah.
I'm
Nothing yet.
seeing the I'm seeing the team of Tinian
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
puppetry right now. I have in
But
front of me. I
that's
like it.
something I'd like to do. Hopefully,
Yeah, you will.
all goes well. You know,
You will.
I want to do the first puppet, you know, like the first puppetry festival in Trinidad, and I think that'll bring a great deal of enlightenment to the people here that don't understand, you know, the whole thing about puppet slam culture or puppetry in general. I think the problem is that it's not accessible, and
Yeah,
you know, that's the problem, or people think it's not accessible. But
exactly.
I think, but with me is because I'm driven enough to go out there and find the information that's out there, because the internet is in everybody's hands now, you know, and you can find a way to learn new things, and I think it's just to get the word out there enough, you know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna be the first one.
I'm gonna
Hope you
try.
invite us one day. Yeah, you will invite us one
Yeah.
day.
You will. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to
you will
come.
invite us.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will. I will.
you invite us. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be. Pretty sure. We
And
like a lot.
I mean, with Trinidad, we're basically connected with everybody in the Caribbean and South America. You know, and with I
Really
mean, with
close.
the migration situation with Venezuela, there's a lot of Venezuelan people coming to Trinidad,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's something that should be explored. In that, you know,
Yeah, you
there's
should.
there's a rich culture there, especially with puppets
Yeah.
that can actually help my situation, is just finding the people that are involved in it, you know?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you need any help with getting involved with any of my peers in Latin America, I'll be more than happy to help in translating and being a bridge between you and the, it's in Spanish, calling
Yeah.
language
Because
barrier.
because Duolingo has failed me.
Yeah, you're like you are in Latin America, but you speak English.
I
Like,
do. Yeah.
yeah, you get
I
like kind of
love
like
I love that your cat is just like a little shark there, and you see the tail.
he's here.
It's putting on his own puppet show. It's so
Yeah,
cute. Yeah. He's
he's
putting on his
around.
own puppet show.
He's not like that. He's not like
Yeah.
that. She's showing off.
Oh,
He's
he's
not
showing
like
off
that.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's just showing off.
you have visitors, so he's showing off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just showing off. He's right
Mhm,
here.
mhm.
So yeah, you should do it. If by any chance you need help with that,
Mhm,
I know, people in Venezuela,
mhm,
Colombia.
mhm.
We have
Really?
peers who really long.
Mm,
Yeah, we get general chats as well. But we
okay.
have like general chats where they're like people from other countries. Well, but in calling like in for the Spanish barrier,
Mhm.
I'm more than welcome to help.
Oh, thank you. That
Yeah,
sounds like that sounds like something we'll have to chat a little bit
we
more
should.
about.
We
Yeah,
should.
later
And
on.
once you write the book out of the history of Trinidad and Tobago puppetry, we'll call like our interpreter was Ailin Ruiz
Yes, I
from
will do
Mexico.
that.
Mexico. They help us with the Spanish barrier.
Mhm,
Yeah, we'll
mhm.
be more than welcome. I'm just being funny, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we'll be more than welcome to help
Mhm,
just create those bridges
mhm.
around. Just count on that.
So, Eileen, at this point in time, I like to ask it's a bit of a curveball of a question. So,
Okay.
I like finding out, like, if you didn't discover puppetry, and it wasn't something that would have crossed your mind, what would you have been doing if you were not a puppeteer?
I think I will be a teacher. Like maybe I'll have something, a place in a university, sort of like on the administrative part, education, probably some of internationalization, probably something like that. Students going to study abroad. I don't know, something like that, just to to have advantage on my English. So I think I would have teach English probably, or I will be it would be a teacher in a university or elementary school, whatever. I think, but I ended up being a puppeteer. So. It's
I
awesome.
like that. I like that you've thought about that. Like you've thought about, you have
Well,
that
you get
backup
the
plan.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a point in your life where you just like have to decide between this road or that road, right? So you're like in the middle of it. So I guess I was on a point of my life. I wasn't that point, so I was like, or going teaching or going this way. So I felt that it really fulfilled me doing being a puppeteer. So doing puppetry, so I did puppetry.
Yeah, and even when Pam was on, she said the same thing, that she teaches a lot too, and she was a teacher before she got into puppets and stuff. And it's funny, it's funny that there's always that link between with teaching, education, and puppetry. It always works hand in hand.
Maybe we were like we're supposed to be teachers and we didn't, probably.
Maybe. But
You're a teacher.
there's always there's always that link when understanding the primal thing that is puppetry. It was telling stories. It was how people entertained, their family or their village or whatever back then in that stage. And when you think about it, it is educating, because you're teaching the rest of the younger people there, or whoever there, you're teaching them about what happened before. You're teaching that history, and that's how everybody learns. So you know what? That's what it is. You are a teacher in your own right. That you're telling that story. And I mean, I've noticed that a lot of the projects that you worked on were, somehow linked to some type of educational stuff, and that's really amazing. That it's a career built on what you love, and still it links to that whole thing about being a teacher. It is, the best of both worlds, I think. Yeah, it is the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I want to be a teacher. But I am a teacher still, I'm a puppeteer.
I mean, I'm sure you do workshops and stuff. You teach workshops.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we teach workshops and stuff. In Lormillo, we have 9 programs that we do during the year. One of them, it's about our School of Puppetry. We do online courses. Our last course was in June, and we do different ones. Like last time we did one. First time we did for adults. We opened one out of it was paper. It was toy theater with a big espíndola, and there was a girl from India that actually took the course, and we translated for her. So it was quite of an experience. Yeah, I should have thought about you to invite you. Now, next time.
I was just gonna ask: are your workshops online, or is it in person?
Online.
All online.
Online.
That's great.
Just we're trying to get along with. To go with most of the people that would like to take the course. The course in Spanish, but at the point we had an interpreter. So it was it wasn't an interpreter, it was a translator. So it was both at the same time in English and Spanish. It was quite good.
That's good.
It was the first one.
That's a very ambitious thing to do, but that's great. Yeah,
it's like the magazine. Magazine is both in Spanish and English. So in order to get to a lot of people around the world.
Tell me about that magazine. Tell me about that magazine. Like, when did you start that magazine? What's the name of that magazine?
Of course. We in 2020 we started our editorial house. We started publishing our own coloring books. We did 7 of them, and we presented them. And part of that project was the magazine Títere MX, which is Puppets MX, which is Mexico. It stands for Mexico. So on our first magazine, which is the first number.
Mhm.
We gather a lot of our peers from Mexico and some of from abroad, from
Mhm.
Italy and from India, that
Mhm.
wrote about puppetry itself around. So it's a project for us to in order to show people what I've been doing here in Mexico in puppetry field, and in order to always to connect and to get networking with other people around, and to get to people to know what we're doing here in Mexico. So it's online. The magazine is online, and you can read it online as well. So
Okay.
it's quite good.
We're,
It's
we're gonna we're gonna insert that link down here,
so
right there.
you can check that
Yeah.
out.
Uh-huh.
And it's good for everyone to know a little bit more what's going on in the world of puppetry in
Mhm.
Latin America and Mexico
Yeah.
itself. So, and it's translated to Spanish and English, so everyone can, at least Spanish and English people that speak most of the language can relate it to it.
Do you have like a website and a YouTube channel and stuff that we could follow?
Yeah, of course, you can follow us at Lormiga. I'll be spelling it LORMIGA.
Mhm.
Lormiga dot
Mhm.
Titeres, TITERES,
Mhm.
which is Titeres in
Mhm.
Spanish. And you can see us on TikTok, YouTube. You see us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Of course,
You're
you can
everywhere.
contact us. We're everywhere.
You're
We have
everywhere.
to be everywhere. We
Yeah.
have to be
You have to.
everywhere.
Yeah. You have
Yeah,
to.
you never know when you meet someone. You gotta
Mhm.
follow
Mhm.
social media. Check out on YouTube. We have some of our shows there, so you can check them
Mhm.
out. We have our touring. We actually do a vlog out of our touring. It's in
Mhm.
Spanish, but
Mhm.
I think it can be translated. I guess I
It
don't know.
can be
But you can
translated.
check
It's
it.
fine.
Yeah, well, you can see us. You can see
Yeah,
us there.
we'll see you there.
You can see
Yeah.
us there.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of this, and I just wanna find a way to internalize it all. But let me ask you another question. I always like to leave on a note where, you know, what's next? What's next for Ailin
Great
and puppetry?
question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'm on the point right now that the point that I dream of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right now it's the time for me to start thinking about future again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when I was younger, when I started the company, I always wanted it to, you know, to get someone to interview me, you
Mm-hmm.
know, from the country, to
Yeah.
travel around the world, to get to be seeing different parts of Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
to do programs, to win calls of participation stuff. Right now, I'm at that point that I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm at that point. And right now, I think the next thing is a cultural center, a
Mm-hmm.
place for us to start doing our short shows, to start doing our workshops, because we don't have our own theater. We wish to have our own theater. So I think that's the next thing, having our own theater and start building different community out
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
doing our own theater. So I think that could be next.
That sounds like the dream.
Yeah.
Having your own theater, that you could have festivals at your theater, you could have shows at your theater. Yeah.
Workshops and
Workshops, everything. That sounds good. You have a home
everything.
for your puppetry.
I have a home for every puppeteer. It's welcome. That's
Oh,
for sure. You're
that's
invited. You're invited.
that's really nice. That's amazing. And you know what? That I think that's where everybody aims to be, especially when you've visited places that do that. You feel that welcoming sense that, yeah, I could work here, I could build something here, I could spend a week at this place and just build a show, And
Exactly.
yeah, it's amazing. You guys do amazing work. I'm sure. Um, I've seen some of your work, and again, we've crossed paths in many other workshops and forums. And I just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of Unima Talks. Thank you for being episode 7 of
Oh,
Unima, yeah,
awesome. Great number.
of
No,
Unima Talks. Mhm.
thank you very much for the
Mhm.
invitation. It was such
Mhm.
an honor for us to be
Mhm.
considered. I
Mhm.
guess there's not a lot of puppetry companies in Mexico that get invited.
Mhm.
Hope to be the first one. Just kidding. No, so I'm happy. We're happy. We're honored, and
Mhm.
we hope to get these spaces, have more of these
Mhm.
spaces for
Mhm. Mhm.
puppeteerians, because they're really needed for
Mhm.
us to talk, to express, to
Mhm. Mhm.
share. So
Yeah.
great. It's a great, and I really congratulate you for this initiative because it really brings together and bridges, puppeteers and together in the world. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And well, I just want to say again, thank you for being here, and peace and love to you.